Writing a book takes more than strategy, more than time. It takes courage. If you've ever felt like you were not ready, you weren't expert enough, maybe you were just too scared to start, you're not alone. I get it. I was in my 40s when I wrote my first book, and I had been writing since I was 4. I self identify as a writer, and it still took me nearly 40 years to write my first book. So I get it. I get it. Well, facing your fears publicly can be a challenge, but it has been done before. King George VI, whose story was told in the King's Speech, had to do his courage very publicly because he had to give a speech and he had a stutter and he had to come off kingly while he never even thought he was going to be king. So today I'm going to be taking my inspiration from the film The King's Speech to show you how to be bold, how to take that step into your authority, your expertise, and boldly proclaim it between the pages of a book. Hi, my name is Carma Spence, and I help executive coaches, business leaders, and consultants write, publish, and market client attracting books using AI accelerators and gamification to help you make it to the finish line. If you're watching this video on YouTube, please like the video, subscribe to my channel, and ring the bell so that YouTube will push this out and my other episodes to others who want to write a book to attract clients, attract speaking gigs, attract media attention, all the good things that make you more visible and help you grow your business. The first tip is, or the first point I have to make is you don't need to be ready. You just need to begin. Yeah, you just need to begin. And I know that can be scary. It's kind of like stepping off the cliff when you're attached to a zip line. That's scary. I've only done it once and it was for 5 feet and it was not out in the wild. It was a big travel convention. And I've been dying to do it in the real world ever since. Anyway, Bertie didn't ask to be king, and he didn't wake up thinking, "I am totally ready to be king." And you probably didn't wake up in the morning, this morning or any other morning saying, "Yes, I'm ready to write a book." Here's the mindset shift. Leadership doesn't come from readiness. It comes from being brave enough to rise in the moment. The leaders we really respect, that we tell stories about for decades after they're gone, those are the leaders who stepped up, scared, and did it anyway. So if a book is something you want to do but you're afraid to begin, take one action today. Maybe watch to the end of this podcast. That's an action. It's a very tiny one. But a better action would be to start writing something down. And I do have something that can help you jumpstart that. Right now, it's $27. It's called the Author Switch Advantage. And if you want that, just put Author Switch Advantage in the comments and I will send you the link. It's 6 audio notes. It'll get you past that first hurdle. Tip number 2, your voice deserves to be heard, even if it shakes. Let me tell you, those first books were not perfect. In fact, my very first book, which still does well, even though it's 8.5 by 11, has a blurry home photograph on the cover, and a lot of people write that they don't like the fact that it has no for scratch recipes in it. It was a start, and I learned stuff from doing it. So your first draft's gonna be messy. That's what editors are for. They take your messy first draft and they polish it into a beautiful, beautiful thing worth sharing with the world while still being in your voice. So, just because you aren't a writer, just because maybe you're not that clear right now, doesn't mean you can't start. In fact, writing your book will probably make it more clear. Some of my earlier books, I had to write a couple of times because the first draft was so not clear that I needed to refine it. And it's not like I wrote it from scratch each time. It's the editing process. Writing a book helps you become the person who could write that book. You rarely start off the person who could write that book. So get started. Number 3, you're allowed to get support, even if you're smart, even if you're smart. Bertie was royalty. He was a prince, and yet he hired someone to help him do his speech. He didn't just say, "Well, I'm royal, therefore I've got this." He knew he didn't have it. He knew he needed support, so he got the support he needed. Well, if you need support writing a book, there are people like me who can help you. Maybe I'm the person to help you, maybe someone else is. Don't let that book die inside you. Get the support you need. If a king can do it, you can do it too. Number 4, the fear doesn't mean that you're not meant for this. Oh, in fact, usually the fear means that you are meant for this. Bertie was terrified, but it didn't mean that he was weak. It just meant that he cared. He cared about giving that speech. He cared about serving his people, which is probably why he raised a daughter who cared about her people too, honestly. The same as with you. If this book feels so important that you don't want to start it, you're too scared to start it, it's because you care. You care about the message, you care about your business, you care about the people you serve, and you want to serve them well. And that's fantastic. Honestly, that is for me, I think that's gold. Because if you didn't care, you'd just put out a piece of crap. And believe me, there are plenty of people doing that. Plenty of people doing that. If you're scared, that's not what you're doing. So just get started. And again, if you need help, I'm here for you. You can have a sample trial of what it's like to work with me for just $27. The Author Switch Advantage. You can get that at carmaspence.com/AAA. It's 6 days, audio notes of 3 minutes or less, and it'll help you get your idea nailed. And it'll get you started with some momentum. Final tip number 5. You don't have to write like anyone else. In fact, you really shouldn't write like anyone else. Now, I do know that baby writers often will write their first stuff like someone else as they get their legs. But if you're not going to be a writer, you're just writing a book to grow your business, then who cares? Write like you. Write like you talk. I recently read Amy Porterfield's book. I think it was called 2 Weeks Notice, something like that. Wasn't the book for me, but I have to tell you, you could tell Amy Porterfield wrote that book. That was her because I've been to several of her webinars. Her book sounded like her. And I've read other books, and they didn't sound like Amy Porterfield because they weren't written by Amy Porterfield. Well, your book needs to sound like you. People who read your book should be thinking, I can hear that person's voice in my head. That's a better book than some book that sounds like some writer you think you should sound like. In terms of the King's Speech, Lionel didn't force Bertie to become some different person to give his speech. He helped him become himself, and you can become a bestseller. You can become a successful author. You can become a successful business owner with an amazing book by being yourself. So there you go. 5 tips inspired by the King's Speech. You don't need to be ready. You just need to begin. Your voice deserves to be heard no matter how shaky it is. You're allowed to get support, even if you're smart. Fear doesn't mean that you're not meant for this. And you don't have to write like anyone else. And don't let anyone tell you that you do. This is Carma Spence saying ciao for now.
Bloopers!
So, I always start with so. I don't know why. I'm a seamstress. I sew so much. We'll start again. Well, King George IV had to face his fears publicly. And it was shown in the King's Speech because he had a stutter. Okay, George VI. I stand corrected because I can't read VI versus IV. I'll start again. No worries, sweetie. Oh, big dummy. Just George VI. Okay. Oh my gosh. I can't read a calendar. I can't read my analog clock. And apparently I can't read Roman numerals. We'll start again. Your voice deserves. How'd that B getting there? It's going to be bloopers on this one.